And good afternoon, everyone. Why are you smiling like that, Stacey?
I feel like that's what I should be doing. That's what I should
Okay.
do.
All right. So you are joining us for an episode of Business Acceleration Playbook, where we are bringing you the plays that you need to win in your business. And we're waiting on Chanel Rose to join us today. Angela Buckley had a meeting, so she's unable to attend. And then Ray Baxter will be unavailable today as well. But so you get me and Stacey. Stacey Pryce, if you all don't know her, we do a couple of other shows together. And she also has a podcast of her own. There's Chanel. Go ahead and add her to the stream there. There we go. Hi, Miss Chanel. We are live.
All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hey. I was just introducing Stacey. Stacey, I'll let you tell everyone who you are. So some of the people who watch the show, listen to the show, may not know you, but that way they can get to know you and how great you are.
Thanks, Maria. Your camera's also flickering a little bit.
Flickering?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you talk while I fix it.
All right. Sounds good. So I'm Stacey Pryce. I'm the host and founder of Pryce on Purpose, which is a show focused on helping people with depression, doubt, anxiety. So I do interviews on there, but also I do Spontaneity every Wednesday with Maria Daniels as well, which is a show about living life more spontaneously. And what some people may or may not know is that I also have over 17 years of customer care experience, and as well as in leadership. So that is who I am. And your camera is so 1980 right now.
I don't know what's, dude, hold on. Yeah, you just keep talking.
Okay.
All right. And we also have Chanel Rose. How are you today, Chanel?
Oh, I'm good. We're talking about taking a leap and doing it anyway. My eyelashes are currently sticking together. So if you see me frantically blinking, it's because I put the eyelash glue too low. And so now my eyelashes are sticking together. But other than that, I am well.
So you're not winking at anyone, just right?
No.
Okay.
No.
We'll just go and throw that out there. I switched cameras, so I'm going to be glowing. So sorry about that, but I'll just look angelic now.
You definitely have a glow now.
Yeah, the camera up there catches the sunlight and it makes me glow. So I usually don't use that one, but
Roger Dodger.
All right, so it's not a Monday, but it feels like it because the way that things are going. But that's all right, because that's how life is, and that's definitely how business is.
Yes.
But you got to learn to go with the flow, roll with the punches, because it's going to be part of your business journey. It's going to be part of your life's journey. And if you're just getting started in business, I would rather you go ahead and know that up front than to think that it's going to be just easy peasy lemon squeezy, because it's not.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be great, and it's going to be amazing, and you're going to get up every day and just keep going forward and making the best of it. So all right, so today we were talking about just a business foundations level and about some key steps to just going ahead and getting started. Yeah. Because I know the biggest thing that I run into with a lot of people is I feel like they are in two different parks. Either they are terrified to get started because they're afraid of failure, they're afraid of what's going to happen, the what ifs, the unknown, all those things. And I feel like that's a bigger population. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like there's another level of people that they just dive in head first and are 0% prepared. So I feel like, the sweet spot somewhere in the middle. And so I think we're going to talk a little bit about that and some more things. But before we really get too deep in this, Chanel, for people that don't know who you are, I want you to go ahead and give a little bit of a shout out. I know people that have started listening to the show, they've got used to your beautiful face, but let's go ahead and let them know anyway.
Okay. I'm Chanel Rose. I'm from Chicago. My favorite thing about me, I am a full-time entrepreneur. My specialties include specialties are I'm a business coach. I help coach people out of their 9-to-5 into the business of their dreams. And we focus on everything from mindset to my favorite part, which is how to make money by monetizing your genius. And one of the things I'm working on now is helping people start Airbnbs, which is something that I really love.
Nice.
So I think that, the last few months have gotten me real honest about where I want to be in my life and kind of who I want to take with me. And I realized that far too many people are miserable, and joy should be the standard. And once you figure out the things that make you happy about who you are and learn how to make profits about that, is really, then that's when the money is easy. When people say, oh, it's easy to make money as an entrepreneur, that's the sweet spot. It's something you can say, like Maria mentioned, you get up and you do it every day and you're happy about the work that you're doing. If you're happy about it, you'll make it work. If you hate it, I mean, you might be one of those few people who luck up and do things that you hate and you can make money on them. But when you're happy about it, or at least about the success you're making, it's 10 times easier. It never really feels hard.
Right.
So that's what I do. That's my specialty. I love working with folks who are ready to take the leap.
And I love that. And I love that you've gotten very excited on the Airbnb stuff. And I'm sure throughout the season, you're going to be talking a lot about that, which I love hearing about because, well, you mentioned earlier that there's different ways to make money, right? And some of them you're going to love. That's the, purpose, what gets you up in the morning. But for a lot of us, I do have those little side hustles that I enjoy, but I wouldn't say that's my purpose in life. But I always like to hear about like the different side hustles and the different things you can do to kind of maximize your earning capabilities. And I'm, a big believer that, we think about, diversifying our portfolio on the back end, but we really need to be thinking about diversifying on the front end too, because the market is so all over the place. And if nothing else has proven that to you, look at the last couple of years with all the COVID stuff, and it's just been insanity. So, I really love the idea that we're having these discussions because, even if you're working a job right now that you absolutely love and you're making great money at it, there's nothing that says you can't have another side hustle that you like. Right. You don't have to love it, but you like enough to be able to do as another income stream. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So
I am so sorry if you are watching this. You're like, what is happening with Chanel today? Her life is falling apart. Let me fix my hair one final time.
You're gonna be all right. We believe in you.
It's this side that's giving me the flux, and I also just dropped my AirPod case, and I was trying to be coy and put them on. So listen, it's okay.
It's all right. I'll try and edit it out later. Don't worry about it.
We don't need it. It's real. It's real life. I think that's the beauty of it, though, is it's not about perfection. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're listening to Joe Rogan or who's another famous. I can't think of anybody. I just hear Joe Rogan saying all the time. Rich Roll. Thank you, Stacey. You probably know more than I do. Before I started a podcast, I think I've listened to like one podcast episode ever. So I'm not the person to ask. But anyway, the point is that it's not about perfection. And even if you see a lot of these people, if they're speaking and it seems like they've got it all together 100% of the time, I can guarantee you they do not have it together 100% of the time. That doesn't exist. So it's like, aim for like the high 70s. That's my goal. Right. Like set, high 70s, and the rest of the time it's just is what it is. Go with the flow. Life's too short to sit and worry about AirPod cases falling and all that kind of stuff. It's just part of it. We've all been there. And I can tell you stories that are way worse than that. So, but that's not for today. Today we're going to talk about just going ahead and throwing it out there. And hopefully by now you figured out that we are very real and that, we're going to give you advice on why you should just go ahead and take the leap, take the jump, and make that, dream a reality, whether you're thinking about getting started or whether you're in the middle of your business ownership now and you're not really sure how to scale or how to grow to the next level. Some of these tips, they're same really across the board.
Right.
So I know, Chanel, for you've been in the business world for a long time on a corporate level, and now as a business owner yourself. What are some, you thinking of it from the business foundation level of just kind of getting started? Did you have hesitations when you were starting your own business, or can you kind of give us a little rundown of that?
So yes, I think I have hesitations every day about everything. It never really goes away. Like, I'm making money now. So I think initially the hesitation is, how do I make money? And until you can figure out how to make money in your business, you spend a lot of time, honestly cementing yourself in a place where you stay stuck at. And the truth of the matter is, you don't know how you make money unless you franchise or MLM, or there's some perfectly placed product that you have developed A lot of times you just don't know where it is or like where the money's going to come from, if people will like it, will they like you? And so you go through all of these emotional and social changes. And the truth of the matter is the only way to really get out of the stuck point and to take the leap is to take the leap. So I knew going into it, I thought exactly what I wanted to do. My business to date has gone through like 5 iterations. And for those of you who aren't familiar with iterations, that means that I've changed what I want to do and how I want to do it at least 5 times. And as a registered business, I've only been a registered business 14 months. So yes, every couple of months I've made changes about how I want to do business, who I wanted to serve. And that might sound crazy to you if you're just sitting at home thinking about starting a business and you are, fire in the belly. I know for sure I want to do business X. I want to be this kind of coach and serve these kind of people. The truth of the matter is, in the beginning, you seek out those people and you don't really know what their needs are, right? So you're trying to attract people because you want them, not because they want you. So that's the first mistake, right? So my hesitation in the beginning was like arrogance. It wasn't really a hesitation. It wasn't really I wasn't really stuck. I was just arrogant. I had decided that this is how I want to help people. I had my website. I spent all this time, money, effort, energy on my logo. Oh my God. I spent like a month creating my logo. Let's right here. Let's plant a flag. No one buys your product because of your logo. I don't care how good your logo looks. I don't care how much you spent on it. No one buys your product because of your logo. Now, someone's going to say, oh, people compliment me on my logo all the time. Okay, 1%, fine. Just know that that's the only place in your life where you are the 1%, where you are the exception and not the rule. The rule is it should be legible. So people should be able to look at it and read happy if it says happy. If it's hot neon pink, people can't see it from a distance. I won't dig deep into like logos don't do's, but let me help you. If you just go and stick some Times New Roman on a white backdrop, okay, put your initials, okay, right? Like, don't overthink your business name. Don't overthink your logo. But these are all places where I was stuck. And I spent probably a month trying to figure out my logo, trying to get the right hex code. Let me tell you, I think I put that logo on my website and maybe on the banner of my Facebook business page, and I haven't used it since. Like, I never put my logo. Sometimes I put it on flyers and stuff for advertisements, but nobody cares about your logo but you. I swear. So you can spend $1,000, have a blast. You can spend $5,000, have a blast. I'm not trying to put anybody out of business. I think that you should care about every component of your business, but I'm a sales-focused kind of person. Packaging matters, right? So if you have physical products, like that's when we can start talking about logos and things like that. But for service-based businesses, I mean, maybe people will recognize your logo when they Google it, but the reality is that, like, that's just not, you don't build your brand around your logo. That's something that had me stuck for a very long time. The name of my business is CR. So it's CEARE. My initials are CR. Now, sounds simple? It's not. People call it care all the time, or carry. I get carry all the time. Never see. I mean, like, maybe 1 in 10 people call it CR, but that's okay because I believe in it. So I'm happy to tell people what it means and what it says. And it looks like care. If you read too fast, it looks like care. Again, it's personal to me, but it could have been easier if I just called myself Rose Business Coach or whatever, right? Like, don't get caught up in things that inherently don't make you money. Google is a strange word. It's a one with, what is it, a million infinite zeros behind it, I think is what Google is. I know that because I'm into that kind of thing. But if you ask people what Google is, you know what they're going to tell you? A search engine. Okay? That's what they're going to tell you. No one's going to tell you it's a number with a 1 and I think it's infinite zeros behind it. Right? Did y'all know that?
I knew that just because I had got Google certified, but I did not know that before that. Or did I really care? Right. So I mean, I agree with you on that.
Google is a search engine. And that's my point. So you may happen to know the meaning behind things, but what is it? It's a search engine. It's a Android, whatever, right? Like, it's a product. It's a service and a product that people use. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, the name of your business matters, but you put the meaning behind it. So yeah, I'm sure people used to look at Google and not know what it said, or Barack Obama or Oprah or all these other things that used to be anonymous, but they built the meaning of it. And so there is some beauty in anonymity, because no one knows what CR is unless I tell them, right? And it's the same thing with your personal brand. No one knows who Maria Daniels is until she says this is what the Maria Daniels brand is. And so when you're trying to build this big, beautiful brand before you get started, because I was stuck there too, it don't matter, because all that crap you built and it took you a year, it's going to take you a year to explain to those folks. You know how much easier it is to build the brand while you're building the brand outward? So much easier. You should have foundation, but certainly you should be in control of the messaging of what you want, and then also be flexible. I think that's the third thing that stopped me from taking the leap, was that I was so rigid. Because as an employee, you have very clear defined metrics, you have benchmarks, and you have goals that are given to you. And so when you start off your business, you treat it like you're an employee. You come in, you got to wake up at 8 a.m., you got to work for 8 hours, you can't sleep, you can't go to the bathroom, you got to eat at your desk. And so you train your brain into believing that you are just a cog in the wheel. The problem is, as a business owner, when you treat it like an employee and there's no boss, stuff don't get done. So you'll be sitting there for 8 hours, flapping your wings and not flying, because you'll be holding yourself to the desk doing things that don't make you money. They don't bring you joy, because you're working like an employee. The boss does things every day to get them closer to goals, but you don't think that way. And so I was so rigid and so serious about it. I had so many meetings when I started my business. I sat down and had conversations with vendors. Why on earth was I talking? I think I talked to ConvertKit, and no shade to ConvertKit. I still use ConvertKit to this day. Why did I let them take up 30 minutes of my day? Yeah. Everything that they told me was on the website. I think I talked to Samcart for an hour one time. And again, they're not paying us, so I'm going to stop name dropping places. The point is, nothing came out of those conversations that wasn't on their website. That's the point I'm trying to make. But I was convinced that I needed to do these things because that's how I had been in corporate America. The truth is, you're going to change, because I'm back at Samcart, but I had left Samcart and I went to 5 other places and ended up back there, right? Because long story short, it just wasn't a good fit at the time. But I thought I had to get one. I had to stick with it. I had to sign a 1-year contract. So I'm sourcing contracts, asking for proposals, staying up late looking at proposals for website developers. I could tell you all the things I spent time on. It's not a good use of your time. Get you a free website. Get you Wix has a logo maker. I think it's $55. Get that. Make your logo. You can change it. Like my logo has changed. I think I'm on my 4th one, 5th iteration, 4th logo. My last logo I made on Canva.
Yeah.
And I guess Canva is a site where you can create like proposals and logos and flyers, and it's low cost. And it's templates. You're paying for access to templates, basically. And that's where I made my last one. And my point that I'm trying to make is that, like, the website, also, I was stuck in, oh my God, I need to go website. Y'all go look at my website. That's what I spend money on. Judge me. I judge myself every day. When I think about if that's what I spend my money on. Like, it's just that, I mean, it is what it is. Like, this is not great. In comparison to, I make money on Facebook and Instagram, right? It's a living, breathing document that I can edit as I see fit. So that's where I make my money. It's where I find the most joy. I think those are the places where I was stuck and caught up that, y'all, again, my website is still public because I paid for it. And I like to use it as a reference of what not to do. Go take a look at it. And judge me. Send me to your friends in your group chat so don't do it.
Yeah. I love that you said that. And I was nodding most of the time because I did a lot of those same things. And it's really funny because I do have a business that deals in the digital marketing space, but I'll be the first to be, sometimes people come to me like, you don't need that. You do not need that at this stage in the game. You need to spend your money somewhere else. And I agree with you 100%. Most of the time, a free website is going to be what you need to start out with, like 9 times out of 10. And people try to come to me, wanting to do all these things, and I have no problem sending them away because it's not a good idea. I did it too. I thought I had to go big or go home when I first started my business. And, coming from corporate, things get done on a big scale, but they have a big budget. I did not. However, I thought that's what I needed to do to quote unquote make it. And all I did was spin my wheels, like you said, and waste a whole lot of money. And I have my phone here because I made some notes on definitely some of the key points that I thought. And one of those was kind of what you're talking about, is that, you know, you don't need to have a fancy business plan. You don't need to have, you know, all this working capital. You don't need to have a professionally made all the things to get started. You just need to have a basic bullet points on what you're wanting to do, why you're wanting to do it, and the basic steps you need to be able to kind of connect the dots with you and your potential client or customer. And, you know, I think that's the biggest thing is I didn't have working capital. You know, I didn't have this big bank of dough, you know, sitting there to start my business. I did start it with no working capital. I worked, and as I worked, I put my money into it. But I mean, that part was good. But where I screwed up was I was sinking that hard-earned money right back into stuff that was not making me more money. So much like Chanel was talking about, you know, I would work my hind end off, you know, to be able to get to the point of making this money, and then I turn around and sink it into something that wasn't creating more dollars. So, you know, the way that I suggest somebody that's either starting out now or trying to figure out why they're spinning their wheels, maybe you're at that point right now that you're in that point of spinning your wheels, is sink your money back into something that's going to make you more dollars, because then it just compounds. So, I mean, you know, my number one was right on point with, you know, what you were talking about on that level. Now, Stacey, do you have anything you want to add in on this? Because I know me and her both are very gabby, and I don't want you to feel like you're just sitting back there like you don't get a chance to talk.
No, I love to absorb information, and you know, I even, of course, you know, I edit the show, so I love that episode. I remember you and I were talking about it, Maria, with Chanel, because I was like, the money, honey. What?
I know, I love it. I love the money, honey. I want shirts. We need to make shirts that say the money, honey. I would buy one.
Make it a group.
I'll buy one.
Make it a group. But the thing is, like, what I love that you guys are talking about are these things, because I'm literally going through this, like literally right now. And that's why I felt great to even be on the show today, because, you know, it's dealing with that hesitation, dealing with what we think it's supposed to look like, you know, because we're comparing, and that's the issue. Like, we're looking at what everybody else is doing in that sector. You know what I mean? Because we think we have to match it. We think we have to be that thing. You know what I mean? And the thing is, yes, do we need to do research? Absolutely. But the thing is, sometimes there's a benefit in just starting. And I think it's, you know, what I'm absorbing is there's more benefit in understanding your who and your why, and let that carry you. And then as you start to build up your clientele, you take that, and I call it the flip, where you take the money from that and you put it back into the business. And it's this constant recycling until it gets bigger and bigger. It's kind of like, you know, a snowball effect. You know, you start out with a little bit, and those snowflakes just start, combining. And all of a sudden at the end, you're like, all of a sudden now you're doing a TED Talk, and you're like, what happened in the last 6 years? You know what I mean? But I think that's the thing. It's like we get so stuck in that analysis paralysis state in like so many things. I think that's just like human nature, you know, to be like, I want to make sure I do this right. I don't want to waste any money. Look, there's going to be moments where you might waste some money. You know, there's going to be times where you waste time. But I think it has to happen because you need to learn.
Well, I want to jump in and say something, because I want to, if you are freshly preparing to start a business, I want to make sure we frame this properly. You don't waste money, you take a risk. And I think it's a very important distinction. There's no fault in learning. And if you're serious about being successful, you need to understand risk. Every dollar you spend, risk. Every dollar you take in, risk. Reward, but risk. Because not this episode. We're going to talk about taking on clients that you don't want to take on, but you need the money. Risk. Every new client you take on is a risk. We talk about the rewards, but we don't talk about risk enough. So you don't waste money. You just take risk. And
I like that
is not said enough in business circles. We talk about mistakes, lessons. You know? We don't say that enough. Like, I could tell you, God, what have I spent money on? Oh, I wanted to build this big course. And so I signed up. I paid $400 for the specific platforms and put my course up on the platform, only to discover what made me decide to work in that platform wasn't available at the discounted rate that I had paid. And when I went to go get a refund, they refused to allow me to have a refund because they said that it wasn't listed in the perks. So I spent, this money to put in this platform, and I felt burned. And so much so that I stopped working on that component. But now I'm back and better than ever. I'm about to leverage where I spent money at. At the time, I had the money, and in hindsight, it was a unnecessary risk at the time, but it's a reward for me now because I have access to it and I don't have to do the research I did, because back then I had way more time to do research. Now I just need to know where to go, and now I don't have any risk associated with that because I paid for it. There's no more time cost for research. There's no more financial cost for this platform. I'm done paying for it for 10 months. So in 10 months, I'll have to make a decision about whether I'm going to stay or not. But I took the risk at the wrong time, but it paid off. I think that's important. And another thing that you said that I want to make sure that people don't get caught up in is knowing who they are and who they want to serve. Some days I know exactly who I am. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, who are you? Like, you get here, okay? Like, there are some days where I'm just like totally in identity crisis for no reason at all. I'm a woman, I'm entitled. And then there are some days where I wake up and I'm like, hey, look at this, look at you, girl, like hair all over my head, and I'm just like feeling amazing. You don't need to know who you are. You don't. And I think that is also fluid. Who I was 5 years ago is not who I am today. And I'm clear on who I am, but I'm also in such a space that I'm confident enough to change as I need to. And I think the people's necessity to know is what stops them. Like, and I hate, oh God, I'm on a tangent. I'm sorry. We talk about niching because we're here, right? So you're a service-based provider and people tell you, niche, what's your niche? Who do you serve? How do you serve them? I hate that question. And then they say things to you like, well, what do you love? I also hate that question. Hey, bro, I'm miserable. I've been miserable for 10 years. I've been working this job for 10 years with people I hate, and a chair that's uncomfortable, and the desk that's too small. And quite frankly, these clothes suck. I don't know what I love. I don't even know what I like. Why would you ask me that question? And so the question should be, is what do you do well? Say, what do people come to you for? Well, if you're miserable and you ain't happy, they come to you for things you don't want to do in the first place. So why are you asking me that? You hate me. You just want to remind me of how miserable I am, right? And the truth is that, like, these questions used to work, they don't work anymore. If you're trying to figure out how you want to serve people, think about the things that bring you joy. And start there. And not everything that brings you joy gets you paid. As much as you love knitting, you probably won't be the $1 million knitter, but have a blast. Maybe you could teach knitting classes and that can grow and scale, and we could talk about that. But substantively, everything that you enjoy doing shouldn't have a cost attached to it because it ruins it, right? Like, I enjoy going on hikes. If people paid me to teach them how to hike, they die. But beyond that, it just wouldn't be an enjoyable experience. I'd be like, I don't know if you should climb up there or not. What did the shoebox say? Did the shoes say you could climb up there? And then we'd all be together. So, like, I enjoy hiking. I love it. I could do it every day, but I understand that under no circumstances should I try to monetize that today. Like 10 years from now, that'll change. But today, that's where I am. So the things that you enjoy, though, they have something in common, and they'll speak to the kind of leadership that you want to have. And maybe from there, you can find like, oh, I like teaching people things, or I like to be in groups, or I enjoy being creative. Like there's going to always be a common string of things you dislike and things you like. So instead of putting the pressure of being paid for your hobbies, what are the common things about the things you enjoy? Are they daytime things? Are they nighttime things? Could you do this all day? Do you think about it when you're not doing it? Like, those are revealing introspective questions that don't put pressure on you. And then, when you think about who you can serve, who do you care about a lot? Like, is there a segment of the population that you could help anytime without the pressure of being paid, right? Like, and for me, no shade, I like teaching people things. I cannot work with children full time today. Like, that's just not my ministry. I do enjoy working with high performing professionals. I can do that every day. I love that. I enjoy it. Like I have 10 nieces and nephews. I love them to death. I can spend all day with them, right? But they go home to their parents, and I'm not required for like forming their brains and helping them be intellectuals. Like that's just not my skill set. But I know that I enjoy spending time with them. Again, I enjoy it. Can I be paid for it? Should I be paid for it? No, right? And so as you're trying to like circle through evolution to figure out how your personhood is meant to be, remembered, don't extend the pressure to things like take the money off the table and find out what do you have in common with the things that you enjoy. And that for me bought me the peace, because the things that I do well, I am a lot of them. Like a lot of things I do really well, and I learn fast. So what I don't do well, I can learn to do well. And then that's how it is for most professionals. We land in some environment, but it often doesn't speak to exactly what you do well. Maria has a marketing company. She has a farm. She has a cafe. She has 7 children and a husband. And I'm sure there's so many more things that I haven't mentioned that she does. Right?
I was just listening to you talk about how you're not good with children. I started thinking, I'm not either. I'm not that good with them.
Right.
And I was like, should I say that? But then I decided to.
It's okay, but there's a truth that is associated with that, like knowing that your maternal instinct extends to your kids, and that's it. And that's okay, right? Like it's that level of honesty that I think that no one extends to professionals, because corporations don't say to you, if you're unhappy doing business audits and your passion is marketing, let's get you over there. They don't.
No.
And they keep you in audits, even though your passion might be for marketing, and vice versa. Like no shade to any corporation. Is they hire you for a job, they expect you to fulfill it. And so we think of success as this monolithic journey, and it's not, because I do business coaching to coach people out of their jobs. I do Airbnb. I also have my investment licenses. Don't ask me for investment advice. But I enjoy because I'm just going to tell you that I can't help you. But I really enjoy investing. So I am in the process of purchasing some tax properties. I've just recently acquired an investment property. So like these are things that I enjoy. And I guess at the core, they're real estate. But what does real estate provide for me? Because I want to walk people through this process so you can understand how I got here. I enjoy high turnover. So Airbnb is for me. I absolutely love hosting people. Airbnb and real estate does that for me. I love interior design. I could literally look at art all day. I do. So it allows me to express myself through art and do that kind of thing and get paid for it. I love the idea of helping people, come to Chicago or wherever I am to have a great experience. So Airbnb checks all the boxes. My investment property, I honestly just fell into it because I was like, hey, I like projects. I like high-paced, high-turnover things. And I like the idea of like short-term customer interaction. So Airbnb does that. My investment property will all be great for a few months, and then I'm going to flip it and move on. That is like what I've learned about myself, and it has allowed me the freedom to look for those things in all spaces. So I'm not really concerned about if it's Airbnb. I mean, in 6 months, it might be, I don't know, it's something that has nothing to do with real estate. I may decide that I absolutely love coaching Christians through grief. I don't expect that to happen, but maybe it's where I end up, right? But the tenets of that will probably be people who are trying to stop grieving, not people who are trying to get through grieving. They're ready for their next chapter. I know that about myself. I enjoy working with people who are going through transformations. It took me time to get there, though. At the start, I just wanted to be a business coach. I wanted to help people start their business. My first podcast was Maria's podcast. And if you go back.
Really? That was your first one?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, many, many moons ago. You can go back and listen, and again, laugh at me, send it off.
No, you were great. That's why I'm surprised.
Thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I have not went back and watched it since I went back and watched it. But the point is, like, I just started seeking out ways to express myself and to learn more and grow and get comfortable. And Maria and I were in a Facebook group. She put up the link. I signed up. The rest was history, and I consistently, as I am increasing my speaking and wanting to be better on camera, I actually love when people put up those posts to get on, because I'm able to just freely express myself with courtesy, because they know that it's newer for them too. And we get to grow and develop as professionals in a space that's safe. Even though it's public, it's still safe. And so I know I've talked for like 10 minutes. I say all that to say, for the people who are looking to take the leap, please, I laugh at myself daily, but like understand that this confidence that you see is fluid. There are some days, I mean, most days I'm confident, but there are some days I'm just like, holy moly guacamole, you quit your job, you're going to be poor. Like, and then there are days where I'm like, embarrassment of riches, where's my champagne bottles? Like, and most like it is. And I just kind of, I give myself the grace to want to pop bottles like a rap star and also eat ramen. Like whatever happens that day, I just kind of go
at the same time.
So sometimes it is ramen and champagne. Listen,
you know what? It's all about balance, right?
It's all about balance. I love it.
And I mean, I'm sure the two of you, I'm going to stop talking now, but I'm sure the two of you can relate. Like,
yeah,
the journey is not easy, right?
It's interesting.
I was just going to say, my favorite thing that people say to me whenever they're wanting me to kind of work with them, and especially if they're just new to business ownership, and they're like, I'm just really excited about this because, you know, I'm just excited about being able to, you know, be my own boss and make my own money. And, you know, I'm just really excited about really being able to like write my own paycheck. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're going to be writing your own paycheck probably for a little bit, for a hot minute. You're going to be actually physically writing. You know, I can't tell you how many times I had to write my business money because, you know, over here, I'm waiting to get paid. So I'm having to actually finance it all. And I think a lot of people that are new to the business world don't realize that that is a plausibility early on with a new business. And I know that now because I've started so many businesses that now I know that there's going to be a short amount of time that I'm financing the business. So I'm my own investor within my own business. But, you know, early on, you don't know what you don't know. So unless you've had somebody like us sit there and go, you're going to be broke. You're going to be eating ramen. You're going to be lucky if you can roll some pennies to buy some champagne to go with the ramen. You know, it's just going to happen. But if it is your passion, if it's something that you're wanting to do, then it's worth it. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I love that, you know, you're talking about niching down and stuff, because I understand, I'm in marketing, so I understand the why, the need to know who you're talking to. But I hated that question too, because it depends. It depends on who I am at that very moment. It depends on what I want to do at that very moment. If you've listened to my show at any like period of time, you probably have noticed, and Stacey definitely can tell you because she knows more about my shows than I do, but like that, what I decide I'm wanting to focus on or what I'm caring about at the moment, it changes high level. Now, value-wise and priority-wise, it stays the same. It's, you know, my own happiness, my, you know, family, you know, all those things, like most of us. But, you know, higher level, what I decide I'm wanting to focus on, it changes. If I decide I want to, you know, focus on this over here because this is of interest to me, then I do that. And I think one of the things I noticed in the business world is just that mentality that once you decide on something, that you have to stick with it and you can't change. And that's another thing that I've, you know, pretty adamant on speaking out against. If you have started your business and you started out, you know, on path A, and you decided path A sucks and you don't want path A anymore and you want to see what path B is like, stop, pivot, and go down path B. I'm tired of, you know, that. I think there's a lot of that goes on. It's like, no, you just keep on the grind. You just keep going, even though, like I was talking about earlier, you're freaking miserable and you hate every second of it. Why do you keep hustling and why do you keep going down that path if you're miserable? I think it's okay to stop. You know, you just need to ask yourself why you're stopping. Are you stopping because you've got this, you know, this imposter syndrome that you're feeling down on yourself for that minute? Or are you wanting to stop because you absolutely hate it and it's not bringing you joy? And I think those are important things to say.
Absolutely. Like, I definitely had that experience with my show. I had Waste Off podcasts. Like, you were there for it, Maria.
Yeah.
You know, I went from that idea of what I thought I was as a podcaster and what I thought podcasting or how podcasting served me and my listeners. And then I was like, well, why are you doing this? Like, I had to sit with myself and really ask myself, like, why do you keep showing up? Like, what are you looking for? And I was like, well, I want to help people. I'm like, well, how are you going to do that? And I was like, I don't know. And I had to like really ask myself. And that I don't know moment felt really weird. It felt really weird But once I realized that, oh, the reason for this is because I went through a tough time and I want to share the information I learned with others. Oh, okay. Now that helped me to find who I wanted as a guest, because before, it's kind of like what you guys are probably going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, but I was trying to have people on my show just to have people on my show. I'm like, all right, you have a following. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I could see that in a business. It's like, you got a couple dollars? All right, let's go. And then all of a sudden you're like, this person, is acting outside of your priorities and values. And you're like, okay, well, now you're there to make that decision. Like, do I stay because of the money, because I got to pay this, or do I, and that's something I guess you guys will talk later. But for me, I had to realize, like, I had to shift the type of guest I was having on my show, because I knew I wanted a certain type of vision, a certain type of value to provide to somebody going through a tough time. And that's how I started to transition into Pryce on Purpose, Yeah. So I'm pretty sure, I guess, what we're kind of like wrapping around is being okay with that unknown moment. You know what I mean? Because I think, even for me with the business I want to start, I'm sitting here just like, who's going to buy it? Why would they buy it? They're going to buy it from me, things like that. And that doubt starts to come up. But I guess, that voice is going to be there. But I think if you really sit with yourself and focus on the value, in a sense, like, how is this going to help somebody? You're thinking about what problems they have in that avenue, that you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll get there. And I think the term is scared, we're doing anyway. I think my success has always been, what's the term I heard last week? No safety net. And so the team I'm creating, it's like a bunch of business folks that I want to get a small Facebook group together. And it's no safety net, like people who are just willing to jump in head first and figure it out. Because I think that the more you know, the harder it is for you to make decisions. And I always say this, if I'm in a hurry, I don't go to Walmart. And the reason why I don't go is, well, let me edit that word out. When I'm in a hurry, I don't go to big box stores. And the reason why I don't go to big box stores is, if I'm in a hurry, I need to be able to make decisions quickly, and there are too many choices. And when you talk about analysis paralysis, typically it's because you have an embarrassment of riches in your brain. You have too many choices. You have the honeymoon kicking in. Every time you have an idea, you're so proud of yourself that your idea, and now you're imagining yourself driving that Rolls Royce and you're sitting on the bed eating Cheerios. And so I think that I've learned about myself that, and I think any consumer, if I'm stuck, right? So I'm trying to figure out what I need to do next. I want help. And I'll tell you how you can niche down. My ebook walks you through how to figure out your target audience. That's it. It doesn't try to make you money. It doesn't try to provide you with resources on information. It says, if you want to niche down, this is a booklet for you. I don't offer you anything else. You want to know who your niche is? Bam. And you want to know about the art of storytelling? Bam. Right? And I think that when you're trying to decide what to do, take away your safety net and dive in. Because the truth is, maybe you're free falling, but most of the time you learn how to fly. Like you'll never, ever know what you're capable of until you start trying to figure out what you're capable of, right? And I mean, to be fair, like I'm okay with the fact that I can't do everything. I've learned that being really good at what I'm good at is enough for me. So, being a coach, I love coaching people out of their comfort zone and into a better life. I do. I like that particular person. I don't have any interest in your professional career. None. Like, if people say, oh, you've had so many careers, you can teach people how to shift careers. Yeah, no, I was miserable. So I was hopping around. I just wasn't willing to reduce my lifestyle to make money. But again, I have no interest in it. I could probably help you write your resume. I could help you get a job, but I don't want to do that. Right. And so I think the important thing is to understand that when you're on this journey, you're going to try a lot of stuff. You're going to be a lot of different people. And it doesn't matter how many different people you are publicly. People can't keep count. And then, when it comes to success, maybe you'll be like Oprah. Oprah's in media the whole time. But if you don't know Oprah's story, and this is my favorite part of Oprah's story, is that, so she was being a newscaster, she wanted more of a, she wanted her own segment, right? And so they ended up giving her a segment that nobody wanted. And she didn't really feel, she wasn't, I imagine she was probably offended by it because she knew she deserved better and could do more. But she did it. And it was a community reporting. So she'd go out and report on things like toy giveaways and all that jazz. But she realized that that was the kind of work that she loved. And she took her small Oprah segment. So Oprah's show started out as a segment that nobody wanted, and she turned it into $1 billion. You know, and so I think that it's you know, still using her skills that she already had in a way that she didn't really think she wanted to, but she said yes. And so like that's the thing. So as we're trying to escape boredom and escape misery, I'll give you 2 pieces of advice that somebody gave me, which was, if you're miserable at your job, start getting good at it. It sounds counterintuitive, but I was miserable, like rock bottom miserable. Didn't want to get out the bed, didn't want to do my hair, didn't really have any investment in my job. And so somebody said, oh, you want to change? You have to change.
Yep.
I started doing my hair every day. I started doing my makeup. I started ironing my clothes, and I came suited and booted.
That's too far.
Suited and booted.
Yeah, every day. It's not too far, Maria. And I got really, really good at my job. And so what that did was it allowed me to take myself more seriously. And I started to enjoy outwardly who I was. I started projecting who I wanted to be, which is somebody who was put together and happy. So if you're miserable in your job, step 1, stop being miserable. Do your hair. Speak up. Start saying hello to everybody, even the people you don't like. Shock them. Shake the table. Say good morning to every person, from the security guard, everybody to your desk. And then if it's quiet, say good morning, everyone. I hope we have a great day. Shake it up. Shock the system. Like, turn yourself into a beacon of light, and you will shine. And your light don't miss you. So if you shine a light on other folks, it'll shine on you too. It's inevitable. And the second thing is say yes. Like, misery has no curiosity. You're very clear about what makes you miserable. You have zero curiosity. So say yes. Somebody invites you to a restaurant you know you're not going to like because you looked at the menu you didn't like. Go. Get curious. Even if you just get some French fries, go. And say, I'm going to have a good time. And invest in always making sure that you have a good time. And say yes. Be like Oprah. Say yes to an opportunity that allows you to use your skills that maybe you didn't think would serve you. And look at her. You know, she knew she was destined to be somebody better, and she just walked the path. She didn't turn her back on herself, but she did something that, you know, maybe she didn't think she was suited for. Michael Jordan got cut from the basketball team. I remember the lady with the big red hair. What's her name? She's a comedian. I can never think of her name.
Oh, man.
Kathy Gifford, is that her name?
Oh,
Kathy
Griffin.
Griffin. I'm always one off. She did a bunch of temp jobs before she finally got on as a comedian. And she talked about how even like, I think after her first big role, she lost some money. And so she had to like pivot back up. And so the point is that like, she went through a bunch of different jobs. You talk to people who have slept in their car and they've done all these things. By all means, don't lose a roof over your head. But the point is, you have to say yes to things to get to where you want to be.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, no means I'm staying.
Yeah.
That's what no is. But if you say yes, that means I'm willing to move forward. So get curious and say yes as much as you can. I mean, obviously not to do things that harm you, but there is much more success behind the word yes than there is behind the word no.
True.
Absolutely. 100%, except for the ironing. I just will steam my clothes. I will not iron. But other than that, absolutely, yes. And you know, I guess for me, I'm a jumper. I always have been a jumper. I'm like, let's try it. I have no idea if I'm going to fall on my face or what's going to happen, but I'm just naturally a jumper. There's negatives to that too that we'll get into later. But all in all, like, you know, high level, it's worked out for me because most of the time, the worst thing that happens, that I figure out that I actually absolutely hate it. You know, I may lose a little bit of money, but my key on that is never invest more in a project than you can afford to lose. Like you mentioned earlier, Chanel, it's always a risk. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's always a level of risk, and you have to be comfortable with that level of risk. Just don't risk more than you can afford to lose. I've lost some, but I've never lost more than I can afford to lose, because I've never bet more, risked more than I could afford to lose. And I think that's the key for me. I've gotten better at it and learned some hard lessons by falling on my face. I figured out that just because it looks fun on Pinterest doesn't mean that it's fun for me in real life. There's lots of that. Pinterest will freaking screw you up if you're not careful. I got a whole lot of stories on that, but feeling it looks so good, so easy, and I go try it, and I'm like, God, no. And I've started some businesses that they didn't fail, but they would have if I hadn't had people buy them. Because there was two businesses. I had a boutique and I had a screen printing company that technically didn't quote unquote fail, but my God, they would have if somebody hadn't bought them both, because I was out of my element. I'm a jumper, but I had jumped in head first, and I knew not very much about either of those industries. I'm like, it's business. How hard can it be? I can do business. And it's some industries you definitely want to make sure you actually know a little bit about the industry before you get in there. But I learned a lot. Every experience that I gained, I was able to learn a lot. And I think, I mentioned when we first started the show that usually there's kind of two levels of people that are too nervous to start anything, and then people like me that dive head first and crack their head a few times. And, either way, you're learning things. You're learning a little bit more about yourself. You're learning, if you sit on a project that you had way too long and then you launch it out there and it just falls to the ground because the market's gone in that industry now because you've worked on it for 5 years, you learn something. And if you decide to start this business that you did 5 minutes of research on and you fell on your face and lost the money, you learned something. So, I really think that all in all, there needs to be a healthy level of deciding, what you want to do, why you're wanting to do it, basically an outlined version of how you're going to do it. And, what is the vision for it? Because a lot of it, I teach a course called Ugly Launch. And, a lot of what we talk about in there is just the idea that it's always going to be a little bit ugly. It doesn't matter if you planned it for 5 years, you launch it out, it's going to be a little bit ugly. Because you're beta testing out, you're figuring out what's working, what's not working, all those things. It's always going to be a little bit ugly, and that's okay. And that's the reason that, most of the time there's not going to be a reason to spend 5 years working on your brand new coaching program, because you have no idea, what the reaction is going to be, and you're going to need to tweak it and, perfect it, quote unquote, along the way. So I want to go real quick because we've got about 7 minutes left, and I want to go through it and just give each of us give a couple of highlight points on, some key things to think about when you're thinking about either starting your business or launching your business, to not get lost in the weeds, but to go ahead and just launch it out there. And Stacey, I know you're starting your business, and that was one of the reasons I was excited to have you on here today, because you're fresh meat. So I want to hear from you first before we give you your cheat sheet answers. But what are some things, since you haven't actually done it yet, what are some things right now that are maybe hanging you up on getting stuff launched out? And then
good question.
You can give your advice.
Yeah, it's literally, even yesterday, it's funny because Dean Graziosi had a Zoom call, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this. It's something I need to know. And the funny thing is, after the whole thing, it came to what we're discussing today. It's do it, but don't nosedive, but take some chances. Don't be so afraid. And that's what my thing is. My thing is, are people gonna buy this? You know what I mean? Because it sounds great in my head. It sounds fantastic. I could see all these great things happening. And I've had moments where it did already work. So I know it can work, but am I in the right market for this? Am I going to deliver this the way in order for it to sell? You know what I mean? Can I live off of this? Is this something eventually that I can grow into something that can become a salary? That's some things that I think about. But most importantly, I want to be able to teach it, help people, and then be able to walk away. I don't want it to be they're please, become an employee, because I'm nope, I got to help somebody else. I got to share this information elsewhere. So those are some of the key things that are floating around in my head, and I'm trying to be be quiet. Be quiet. I got to work on this thing. Just be quiet.
Yeah. I guess my advice would be to people who are starting off is tell strangers, don't tell your friends, don't tell your mom, tell your mother last. Your friends and your family love you enough to keep you broke and single. So let them be the last to find out. That's my first piece of advice. They're not your target demographic. They don't owe you their money or their time. So they're not supporting you. You're just not for them. And allergies. Thank you.
I don't have that.
Okay. All right. Goodness. I mean, we're on screen. I have to qualify it. So that will be step one, is tell strangers. Step two is do the research. So create a Google Doc, and anywhere you can, stick the Google Doc in, asking people for feedback, who you'd want to help. And three, put it out there. Like, the faster you start, the less likely it is that what you're offering is going to be stale. And I guess the last one is, the market is not saturated. Competition is security. You know, if you McDonald's is across the street from Burger King and down the street from Popeyes, that's across from KFC. There's a reason for that. People will know that this is where they go, and the more people can feel like they're informed consumers and they have consistency in the products, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to make money. So the market is not saturated. It's waiting on you. Those would be like the keys. Stop talking to your family, you know, about your personal business and your professional business, because they mean well, but they can't help you. And most of the time you're talking to people who, you know, don't even have what you want. You're asking for relationship advice from people who don't have good marriages, or you're telling people about money who don't have any, or if they have it, they're not giving it to you. And you're seeking out advice from people who like are below you, period.
Right.
So take the leap. Like, that's my advice. And the same thing I would say to you is, like, start telling people you have an idea. Like, you're beating around the bush. You should be on here telling people what your idea is. Like, you're failing by not telling people what your idea is. Every time you get in the room, you need to tell people, I'm about to change lives by doing X. And you got to be so audacious that people are like, she said she's changing lives. Yes, me. I'm about to change your life. Like, you got to have audacity in everything that you do. That's it. That's all I got.
I like it.
Gnarly.
And I like that you said tell people what you do, because I have seen all so often people are like, I have this great idea, I don't want to tell anybody, because they think somebody's going to steal their idea.
Steal it, yeah.
And I'm like, I have yet to see an idea that was as unique as people think it is.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's not good. It doesn't mean people aren't going to pay you money for it. It just means it's not as unique as you think it is. And the difference typically in the idea is your own secret sauce that you put on it. And that comes from you, and they're not you. So stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about somebody stealing your idea. Because even if they tried to steal it, it's not going to be the exact same as you did it.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then, I mean, I think, you know how I am with why. Why and purpose is my biggest thing. And I think because I chased after, this is a great business idea. This will make X amount of dollars. And I always thought about it, you know, intangible ideas. And it made money, but I would get the money and I'd be like, well, this still sucks. I hate this. And I would move on to the next thing. And it wasn't until I started only making decisions that dug right into my values and my priorities and what I felt my purpose at that moment was, because like I said earlier, it can change and that's okay. But when I started doing that changed things. And I know you all know at this point, Stacey, that we talk a lot. And so I'm a little biased on this, but I feel like as long as you're going with your purpose and you're going with a lot of the advice that Chanel gave as well, I think you've got this. I really do. And I think you just start doing it, put one foot in front of the other. And if you hit a point where it's not working, go back over your list and figure out where it's messing up, figure out if you need to tweak things and keep moving forward, because you're going to trip and fall. But you don't actually fail unless you just completely stop because you tripped and fell.
Right.
You know, it's okay to stop if you hate it, but don't stop just because you trip and fell. And I feel a lot of people do that.
When you trip and fall, don't you say no? Right? You be like, no, I just fell, because all the failure is in the nose. Right?
Right.
Yeah, I just said that. Full circle. So get started. Start telling people.
All right, I gotta get them band-aids on my face, just like fall. All right, got it. Thanks, guys. This is a great show. I appreciate y'all.
You got a war paint.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for you on Facebook. I want you to tell people whatever it is. Just tell people.
All right.
Because once you and you have to.
Actually, that's a challenge. See, we can challenge her.
Yeah.
You're challenged. Why? You have been challenged.
You gotta have audacity. I promise.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's not about, listen, there are a lot of unskilled or less skilled folks who are rich because they had audacity.
True.
You don't need to be perfect. You need to get started, and you are stuck in no, and start saying yes. Say, yes, I'm going to post about it today. Yes, I'm going to tell a stranger.
All right, hold on.
No, and if you don't want to, and then you need to go to a coffee shop, and then, people chat you up and you say, hey, I'm practicing this thing where I'm telling people what my business is. You have 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I just want to tell you what my business is. And people will listen to you. They're going to think
that's true.
That's okay. But the reality is that, like, strangers are going to buy your product. Are they not? So
they are. Yeah.
Get comfortable talking to
I
strangers.
know where there's a good coffee shop in Ohio, I heard, so you can come to that one.
What is it called? The Vault?
The Vault, yeah.
The Vault Cafe?
You can come to that one. I heard it's pretty good, just saying.
I heard that they sell food too, and it's good.
I do. So, yeah. So you've been challenged, and I really think that we should check back with you to see, actually tag us. Yeah. You should do it,
right.
Tag us. That way it's, yes. So you have been
let's make this official. You got to post about it every day.
Every day.
Every day.
7 points. I don't care. Every day. Listen,
okay.
Up to Annie. This is not for weak people. This is for.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready.
So every day I need you to tell me what it is, what you're doing with it, and I need a behind the scenes post. I want you to show me if it's just
who, what, where, when, why.
Right.
Right.
We need you to be very intentional about this thing, and none of that mess with you. Got to plan out your content. No, plan out your
I'm good. I will literally post something right now.
Every day. Okay.
Do it.
Absolutely. No, I got good backing behind me. I mean, I appreciate you guys. I mean, you're absolutely right. I got to get it out of my head, and it is what it is. And that's why I love listening to this show. Like when I edit it.
It's not it is what it is. It's I am about to change. You have audacity. Lord, Stacey. This is not it is what it is. It is this is perfect. This is, this is ready for market. Okay. It is audacity. It is ready for market. I'm going to change people's lives with my skill and my ability to do whatever this mystery thing is, marshmallow roasting. I don't care. But like whatever it is.
It's an air fryer, baby. I'm just kidding.
I really hope it's marshmallow.
Sell your air fryer, honey. If it's an air fryer,
it's not.
That's fine too.
It's not an air fryer.
But it's not. It is what it is. Like you can't just throw your success off to the wind and hope.
No, you're right.
Like people will catch the sand. No.
Yep.
Like
nope. If you don't believe it, nobody's going to believe it.
That's true.
If you're like, I got this thing, and I think it's okay, but you don't have to buy it if you don't want to, because I know it kind of sucks, and you probably don't want to pay that. You don't want to do that, because people are going to be like, what? If they don't even believe it, why should I give you
like, all right, I won't.
No, you're going to be like, you need this, because if you don't do this now, you're going to regret it forever. You need to believe it. I agree with Chanel 100%. And every day, I love the every day. I love that you up the ante on that, because that makes me happy on the inside.
Yeah, Chanel just put the gas on it.
Yes, she did. She's like, you don't post it once every day. Yeah.
We're going to end the show with Stacey telling us what this mystery unicorn is, and then we're going to tell everybody to have a great day. So, Stacey,
all right, hold on. Let me take this off because I'm sweating.
She's sweating.
I'm sweating. I'm literally sweating.
We
hot seat. You knew it was called the hot seat. You've heard the back. It's called the hot seat. You're in the hot seat.
This thing?
You're in the hot seat.
Yes.
All right. So pretty much what I will be doing is customer care coaching customer care coaching and leadership coaching, pretty much showing how I use my customer care skills to change my life, whether it's in communication and relationships. So pretty much what I'm doing is teaching people the structure of a phone call so that they can actually better utilize their time and transition out of what I call the problem zone into the solution zone of a phone call.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
That's needed. I've talked to some people on the phone and they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, Pryce method. So it's the Pryce method. You're gonna start teaching people.
It's Pryce of coaching.
Pryce method.
That's it. It's the Pryce method. You gotta name it. It's yours.
It
is. Audacity. The audacity of you to name it. That's audacity. It's the Stacey method, or it's the SP method.
I like Pryce. His Pryce method.
Me too. It's the Pryce method. So you're gonna tell people. You're gonna teach them the Pryce method of being excellent closers, because that's what you're teaching people, right? How to be closers on the phone.
Yep.
And that's the audacity. And now you've taken the Band-Aid off, so now we know what the unicorn is. It's the Pryce method.
There you go.
The unicorn for my business is the Pryce method. Just like that, y'all. Magic. Our first hot seat Poor Stacey. It's been a pleasure. I'm closing the show, even though it's not my show because we over.
It's your show too. Go with it.
It's your show too. Absolutely.
We love you. Please, if you see Stacey on social media, give us some encouragement. We've stressed her out. All she's trying to do is just come on and be encouraging, and we turned it on her. Send her some love and light. We appreciate you. We here every Tuesday. We're going to be doing the same thing to other businesses. Please go and get started because we need you. Someone out here is suffering because you're being selfish with your gifts. That is it. I am Chanel. I have my lovely hosts, Maria and Stacey. Have a good week, y'all.
Bye.
Later, guys.